welcome into another episode of the Buckeye Blitz podcast. I'm your host, Chad Stryker. Welcome into a little Q&A Tuesday. So thanks for taking some time out of your day to listen today. Appreciate the questions. Tons of them. Gotten tons of them. So just figured I'd answer a few of those and see if it helps you out. If it does, let me know. Drop something in the comments or send me a message on Twitter. Either way works for me. So one small thing. Not so small. We're under 50 days till the Indiana games. 48 days. We're playing some official football for Ohio State at Indiana. So coming up quick, guys. As I mentioned during Q&A Tuesday last week, I had more questions to get to, and I didn't quite get to all of them. So here's the first one. So appreciate the question from one of my longtime listeners. So what are my expectations for Ohio State on both sides of the football? And so I figured I'd start with the defense because, honestly, the defense has been subpar since Jeff Hafley left, which is kind of a bummer. And we're under year 2 of Jim Knowles, which is good because there's some consistency. So we'll just hit on that for a little bit. So I think that for all intents and purposes, Ohio State defense will be better. So last year they were better than the year before, but when it counted, they weren't. So, you can live and relive, I guess, the Michigan game, the Maryland game, the Georgia game, where they gave up big play after big play after big play. But some of that, quite honestly, I don't know how much you can hang on Knowles as much as, the lack of talent in the back end, especially at corner, with the exception of Denzel Burke. Jordan Hancock missed most of the season. He wasn't right. Denzel Burke was banged up and didn't have a great year learning a new scheme. And Cam Brown, unfortunately, just never blossomed, I guess, into what we had hoped. And I had high hopes for him. But I call it like I see it, and you guys know that. So the schedule sets up okay for us. We have the Indiana and Youngstown State and Western Kentucky, and then the Notre Dame games. We got a little time to get some get ramped up, warmed up. Wouldn't be surprised if going into halftime at Indiana it was closer than people would like. But if the defense is as advertised, all the offense has to do is exist and score some points, and the defense can take care of the rest. So here's where I'm at with it. I have high expectations, but I'm a realist as well, and so that's something you'll see in and around my podcast. Is I am a homer, but I'm a realist. But I do expect, barring injury, that a lot of the big plays will be taken care of, and we won't see the huge runs like we did against Michigan. Quite honestly, Michigan in that game, and I will tell anybody this and ask, they just executed better. They did better in their run blocking. They wore the guys down. We didn't always play sound fundamental gap defense, but I will just say this. If Jack Sawyer isn't late to the sideline to help Cam Brown when he whiffed on that tackle on the sideline that ended up being a long touchdown pass, Ohio State wins that football game going away, because we had Michigan on the ropes, and it just seemed like that. Poor tackling, bad angles, questionable secondary play. Because if you stop them there, force a punt, and score again, they're going to have to throw a lot more. And I think that makes a difference, even though our secondary didn't play that well. But I'm not going to rehash that. I'm just saying I think that a lot of those issues will be resolved this year, and we have more depth, and even if somebody does get banged up. So I think the defensive line is going to be playing much better. JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer both in year 3. Jack's back in the dirt. He's going to be playing on the end. We have depth with Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry on the edge, and then in the middle, adding Tywan Malone into the mix of Tyleik Williams, Mike Hall, and probably Ty Hamilton makes a big difference. And then you add in Caden Curry, he's up to 260 pounds, so he could slide inside and play the 3 technique, or maybe play outside. He wreaks havoc everywhere. So I actually think it would be fantastic if they would let Caden Curry play inside next to Mike Hall, and just wreck some games on passing downs with JT and Jack and Caden Curry and Mike Hall. I think they'd be living in the backfield. But I think that would be a really cool concept. We'll see what happens out of that. Not taking anything away from Tyleik Williams, because he's a freak athlete. So again, I like the depth better on the defensive line. I like the depth better at corner. More talent means more sacks and less big plays. So if the defensive backs can hold up and cover a guy for more than 2 seconds, it ends up looking good for us. So Denzel Burke is back; he's healthy. You guys know Davis Igbinosun came in from Ole Miss, and then Jordan Hancock is back and he's healthy. Jair Brown continues to make plays and is poised. And then obviously bring in Jermaine Matthews and some others, and don't forget about Ryan Turner. So again, I'll hit this again: make the quarterback hold the ball longer, more sacks, less big plays. So if they can cover and our defensive line can get through, which the talent is there certainly to do so, that helps a great deal. And then you have Sonny Styles, Lathan Ransom, Kai Stokes, Jihad Carter at safety, and more depth. You have Kim Martinez and Josh Proctor came back, and so you have some others. Quite honestly, if it were me, I want to see Kai Stokes and Sonny Styles on the field. You guys know this. I think Kai Stokes actually, he should start. He's good enough to start. He's a Marshawn Lattimore type free safety, rangy guy and he can cover all over the field, makes plays. He's kind of like a wide receiver on defense, and I would love to have him playing in that center field role, and Sonny Styles on the field, and then you take your pick, Lathan Ransom, Jihad Carter, whichever. So I really hope we get to see lots of Kai Stokes this year, and lots of Sonny Styles, and lots of Lathan Ransom. I like all 3 of those guys. They're all great football players, and not to say Jihad Carter isn't, but Jihad Carter is an upgrade over last year, and what we had. So we'll see. But again, all of this is saying Ryan Day has made it a point to upgrade the talent on the defensive side of the football, build depth, add talent. Let's win some football games, because the last couple of years the offense hasn't been the problem. Hanging stuff on C.J. Stroud and everything. I never understood it. I know we were all frustrated when he didn't run, but honestly, if the defense doesn't give up 42, then we're playing in a national championship, folks. So that's where it is. At linebacker, again, you guys know Tommy Eichenberg's back, so Chambers are back. Mitch Melton is healthy, playing that hybrid jack position, I guess. C.J. Hicks pushing for playing time. I'm sure we'll get to see him some more. Cody Simon was the 3rd guy last year off the bench, and obviously is pushing for some playing time. Gabe Powers looked phenomenal in the spring. So lots of depth there. We'll see how that all works out. Obviously both Tommy and Steele are gone after this year. So, Cody Simon would theoretically have 1 more year. C.J. Hicks would have it's required another year next year. Same with Gabe Powers and Reed Carrico, and we have some of those young kids coming in too. So regardless, the linebacker room is deep. There's more talent. I think you'll be able to get Tommy and Steele off the field and let them rest. And you won't have somebody playing with 2 broken thumbs. That's a big deal too. And I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, but I would not be surprised if you had a 65-35 rep split between Steele Chambers and C.J. Hicks throughout the year, and maybe CJ splits time at that position and then at the jack position just to keep him on the field, because you got to get that kid on the field. Like he's a unbelievable athlete. He's an amazing talent, and I want more than 1 year of him playing on defense for Ohio State. Because next year, if he has an amazing year, Butkus type year, then he's gone. He's in the NFL, folks. So ultimately, more strengths and weaknesses. We have more talent that I can recall since probably 2019 on defense, so 4 years ago. But the talent has to play up to its potential. We have to get back to being BIA. The defensive line has to have a huge year. I think that you honestly have 3 potential first-round picks on the defensive line. Mike Hall, I actually think Mike Hall is probably the best defensive lineman we have, if I'm being honest. JT Tulan-Molual and then Jack Sawyer, all 3 projected to be first round, if not mid to early first round picks. They need to play at an elite level this year. Somebody needs to have more than 10 sacks. Whoever that somebody is, I don't care which one of them it is, but we need to have one person at a minimum with more than 10 sacks. And I'm saying all of this, if you want to win a national championship, this is all baked in. Linebackers are sound and stout. They play good gap fundamental defense, so again, we can turn that defensive line loose. I'm not saying that there's a weakness on like a true like, oh my goodness, I'm really worried about this, but if I am concerned, it's still the amount of reps played at corner. So I'm excited about Igbinosin. He played some last year, but he got benched at the end of the year. Now, call that what you will. Freshman legs, whatever, So he played the first 8 games, but then was relegated to reserve action. And then Jordan Hancock, we haven't seen a full season from him. He was hyped up last spring, then he got hurt. Didn't play that well when we did see him. Jair Brown started a game last year against Wisconsin, but same with Ryan Turner. So as far as live rep football, you have a kid that started 8 games, and you have Denzel Burke who's trying to bounce back. So if I have a concern, it's still in the secondary. We do have some talented freshmen as well, but if I'm being straightforward and honest, if I have a concern, it's right there. So we'll see how it all shakes out, folks. 48 days, we're not that far away. I mentioned the secondary because, like, if I'm concerned about anything, it's the big play. It's still the big play, especially in the secondary. So if we clean that up, it'll be good. We'll be fine. I've said it before. I'm going to reiterate it. If OSU can hold defenses or hold opponents, if their defense can hold opponents under 24 points per game, they'll win every game this year. Period. If the defense holds the opponent's offense under 24 points per game, we win every game this year, barring some weird thing like we had Northwestern last year where there was 70-mile-an-hour winds and you couldn't throw the football. But I think we win every game. So that's going to do it for me today. I hope you guys have had a great Monday and Tuesday so far. I'll see you on Friday for Buckeye Friday as we count down our way through the dead period, and towards the end of July, we're a little over halfway through. So with that said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the questions. Keep them coming. I'll answer more on Friday. Take care. See ya. Till then, go Bucks.